Hello everyone. I wanted to come back and give you an update of what we did with our month in San Diego. Now I know the latest you heard was we were evaluating Austin, so it's probably surprising that we're already done with our time in San Diego, but I'm a little behind on videos, so that's how it goes. Anyway, we stayed at this lovely beachfront condo. We really wanted to experience that West Coast beach life, which was awesome because every morning we would just wake up. There was usually a tractor grooming the sand, surfers lining up out in the water, and I literally mean lining up. Actually, for a few days, Ben rented a wetsuit and a surfer and joined them. It was our true San Diego test. If he fell in love with surfing, then we would move there. That didn't exactly happen, but I think he had fun. And then our first weekend in San Diego, we visited Balboa Park. So Balboa Park has been around for a while, but is well known for being built up around the 1915 Panama, California Exposition, which coincided with the opening of the Panama Canal. And there's lots of interesting things in Balboa Park. There's museums, there's so many different kinds of sports activities, there's dog parks, there's this bridge, the Cabrillo Bridge, which has an awesome view of San Diego's downtown. So we were able to spend an entire day in Balboa Park, and we didn't even go in any museums. We wandered around a bit, took a look at this main area that has a bunch of gardens and buildings, and is sort of the museum district itself. There was, several different promenades and fountains and vendors out. And then we met up with one of Ben's coworkers and did some disc golf, which happened to be right next to an archery range. So, like I said, Balboa Park seems to have a little bit of everything in it. So that was a great first exposure to San Diego. And then we went over to Little Italy, which was not too far. There's, of course, just little shops and cute places in Little Italy itself, not necessarily Italian, but part of that, downtown feel. We found a game shop, of course. We also were constantly reminded of how much of a tourist town San Diego is by the different types of vehicles that we noted. And Little Italy itself was great. Tons of restaurants and lots of outdoor seating, which was really just had opened up in San Diego by the time we got there. The next day, we went over to Coronado Island, which was a fun place to go for a long bike ride, lots of great views of San Diego itself, and of course, naturally being an island, you got to go to the beach. So after biking around a bit, we were on the beach, walked along it to the Hotel del Coronado. This is apparently one of the few surviving examples of a wooden Victorian beach resort, and it's the second largest wooden structure in the US, apparently. We also, when we were in Coronado, explored a bit of where Lyman Frank Baum, who wrote The Wizard of Oz, stayed, as he would escape the Chicago winter and come to Coronado in the summer. And that hotel was part of what inspired him when he was writing about the Emerald City. So, overall, pretty awesome spot to visit. That second weekend, we started out by going to the Torrey Pines State Park. And a Torrey pine is a very specific type of tree that's really only found here. And pretty much this entire park only existed because Ellen Browning Scripps, who was a wealthy philanthropist, decided to keep this land, preserve it, and eventually donated it to the state to make it a park. Amazing place, highly recommend, even though it was pretty busy. Not too far from there was La Jolla, which you may know for the famous seals and sea lions in San Diego, which all are in La Jolla. It was pupping season, so we couldn't go down to the beach, but it was cool because we got to see little seal and sea lion pups. We also spent that day kayaking. Again, donning those wetsuits because it was February and it was the Pacific Ocean. It was branded as a kayak tour of the 7 caves of La Jolla, which we thought meant we would be kayaking in sea caves, but instead we mostly just ended up jumping in the water and kayaking around the ocean. The most difficult part was because there were apparently crazy waves that day, Getting back in was not easy, as you will soon see, because once a wave hits you, you're essentially supposed to like surf it, except for you're in a kayak and, not really good at that. So this is what happened to most people. It's lovely, and you can kind of see the destruction left behind for all of the kayakers that had to experience this. It was hilarious, and Ben ended up swimming back to shore because he got hit by a wave pretty far out. The next weekend, we decided to go on a drive. We went out to the Cleveland National Forest, which is a beautiful spot, kind of an hour or two from San Diego itself, and a totally different kind of place. Just seeing giant trees and having it be freezing cold was incredible, but also really surprising that wasn't that far from San Diego. The next week, we went for a bike ride around Mission Bay. So interesting, biking past everyone from people in bikinis to people in parkas, but we loved having time in the afternoons because we were mostly working East Coast hours to do these sort of after-work jaunts. Of course, like anywhere, it ended up next to the beach along a big boardwalk, and here we got to spy a bunch of surfers from this really cool pier that also has vacation homes and parking on it. And then our last weekend in San Diego, we went to the USS Midway Museum. It's an aircraft carrier, of course, it's now been converted into a museum, and not only did we learn a ton, like how planes are basically catapulted off of ships and then land on ships by sort of hooking onto a string as soon as they hit the dock, but we also, from the USS Midway, were able to look over to Coronado Island, which is where the big naval base is, and see 3 active aircraft carriers. And seeing those 3 was amazing because there's only 11 total in the entire United States. And then we were pretty close to the Gaslamp District of San Diego, so wandered over there. And then that next week, we checked out this cute little area, again by kind of Pacific Beach. That was a little amusement park, very standard West Coast boardwalk, lots of bikers and roller skaters. And our last day, or weekend day in San Diego, is when we went to the Cabrillo National Monument, which had amazing views of San Diego. You could see the city, North Island, and so many ships coming in and out. We did a little hike there, and then along the coast right there, they have some tide pools. Parking was difficult, but we were lucky, found a spot right around low tide, and were able to see not only amazing views, but really interesting like sea creatures in those tide pools. So that's pretty much it. We loved our time in San Diego, and we'll be sharing more details of our final evaluation of the city soon.